Let's go ahead and get started. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This is the PEG Access Advisory Committee meeting for January 6, 2022. Welcome and Happy New Year. My name is Carlin Reed. I am the chair of the PEG Access Advisory Committee. And I see that we have 4 of our 5 members present here. So what I'm going to do is do a roll call so that we can demonstrate that we've got a quorum. Carlin Reed, I'm here. Vince Carlson, could you say here or present or something like that?
Here.
Great. Corey Atkins, are you present?
Here.
And Court Booth, I see that you joined us. Are you here?
Here.
Okay, sounds good. We're still waiting for Scott Hopkinson, but I suspect he'll be able to join us later on. We do have a quorum. Okay, let's dive into the agenda just very briefly today. We're going to be looking at 2 sets of minutes for November 4th and December 2nd. We're going to talk about our schedule for the next couple of meetings, what we're going to be doing at each meeting. We'll have an update from Mark and Aaron on MMN stuff. And we're going to be finalizing the PEG Access report. That's going to be a vote. And Court, let me ask you at this juncture right now, there are 2 things today for votes. One is voting on the minutes and the other is the report. I want to make sure you're able to participate in that vote. Do you have any time constraints or?
No, I'm okay. I have a 2:30 today, so I'm okay.
Okay, well, then if I'll make sure that we get all the votes done by 2 o'clock at the latest.
Great.
Good enough?
Thank you.
Good. After that, we're going to talk a little bit, get a little bit of update on the Comcast renewal, franchise renewal process. And we'll hopefully talk a little bit about the broadband update from Scott or Vince. And then we'll take liaison comments and public comments at the end and then do an adjournment. So that's roughly the agenda for today. All right. Okay, this meeting is being recorded and be aware that it's being recorded, which means your voice and what you say is being recorded. Okay, that's my admonition for today. Let's turn now to the minutes. And Vince, this is where I'm going to have you take over. Let's take over. Let's look at first the minutes for November 4th meeting. I've distributed that to you. Anybody have any edits? I do not for the November 4th one. And I see that Scott Hopkinson is about to join us as well. Okay. Any edits for November 4th?
None here.
Okay. All right. Corey, do you or Scott or Vince have any edits on November 4th? We're looking at the minutes. November 4th, going once. Okay, Scott, you're on mute if you're trying to talk to me.
None.
Okay, all right.
But I am here. Sorry, back-to-back meetings.
No, that's great. I understand how that works. I'm glad you're able to join us. Okay, what I'd like to do, since I'm not hearing any edits, is can I get a motion to approve the minutes of November 4th, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second, Scott.
Good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's do a roll call vote. Carlin Reed votes yes. Court Booth votes
Yes.
Scott Hopkinson.
Yes.
Corey Atkins. Corey, are you able to vote on the minutes? I'm going to come back to you in just a second. Vince Carlson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to assume that Corey is going to abstain at the moment from this, but we have a majority vote approving the minutes from November 4th.
I approve.
Oh, yes. Excellent. So that's a unanimous approval. Okay.
Sorry.
So those have been approved as is. Vince, since there were no edits, I have the version you sent me, so I can just send that into the clerk's office for posting. You okay with that, Vince?
That's fine.
Good. Okay. All right. Now let's go to the minutes from December 2nd. Get those caught up, and those are the ones that we just came out. Vince, I have 4 edits for you, so I'm going to do mine first. This is from the December 2nd, but they're short. So if you'll follow along, just in the first paragraph under the roll call, you have Frank Breen as being from Carlisle. He's not, he's from Concord. At the very end of that first paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first one. Second, in section number 3, the Comcast update, there's a section under one of the questions. It says Concord and Carlisle, why are the 3 PEG TV channels each combined? you have a sentence there that you attributed to me that says Carlin Reed commented that in future negotiations, caveat venditor may apply. Now, being a lawyer, I know what caveat venditor means. It means let the supplier be aware, but I don't think I actually said that. So I would suggest, and I went to the videotape, I didn't actually say those words, clever, but I would suggest you strike that sentence. Fair enough? Vince, is that okay?
Okay, sure. Yeah, that actually is an editorial interpretation of mine, of what you meant, not what you said.
I'm okay, got it. Well, I'd rather be taken out since I didn't actually say
Okay.
it. Okay.
Yeah, fine.
My third edit was in the very next paragraph. This is again under section 3. It's under the Concord Comcast renewal timeline workload, any issues. I think you may have misheard because you have here down, Frank's noted that he was not versed on town specific stash, that select board approval was not required as a general rule. The word select board should be replaced with the word town meeting. Because town meeting, my understanding, does not need to approve this. And we still have not yet checked with town council, but we do definitely need the select board to approve the franchise renewal contract. They're the signing authority. So I say suggest for now, take out the word select board and insert the words town meeting. Are you okay with that, Vince?
Oh, that's fine.
Court, do you have any concern about that?
Yeah, I'm guessing that we need select board or town manager initially, and then if it goes beyond 3 years, it becomes town meeting.
Okay. I'm of a different opinion, but it's clear that we need to get town council approval on this or interpretation. Aaron, is that something you or perhaps Terry or someone could help, or Henry could help us with that? Because we do need a clarification about, does town meeting need to approve the Comcast franchise renewal contract? That's the question.
And this could go initially to Kari with the term of the length of contract being the determinant. Am I right, Carlin? I think it's the duration.
Yeah, that's not been my experience. To me,
okay.
it's always been select board. That's why I was a little surprised, but I think it's fair to ask. And that is something that should be resolved by a town council question or someone else, not me.
Could Terry answer it right now, maybe?
No, I think I'm going to see, Erin, would you please have Carrie LaFleur check with town council on this?
Yeah, I can do that.
I don't know either.
Good.
But I will say that we have it on the select board agenda for the spring, whenever you folks are ready to come and talk with us.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. It's important because it affects our timing for the franchise renewal, as we discussed at the previous meeting. Do we have to have the contract done by December 2023, or can it wait till April 2024? So it's a timing issue for us, and it actually matters. Okay. So for now,
Comment, Carlin, on
Yes.
what Greg Franks had said. He had mentioned that some of the other towns where he manages the contract did not require town meeting approval, but I don't know, their statutes may have been different.
it may have been, the franchise agreement may have been written differently, but ours says select board. I'm pretty sure about that. So for now, take out the word select board, insert town meeting, and we'll take it from there. If you want to add in there, no, I think we already have in there, we're going to be talking up to town council about this. Okay, now back to the minutes. The last edit I have is on page 2. It's section 4, MMN update. Please correct Mark Pauly's last name spelling. It's Pauley.
Oh, yes.
And then the other thing is, I think the paid work is $50.75 per hour, not 50 to 75 bucks per hour. And Mark is nodding his head yes, so yes.
We will take the $75 an hour.
Okay, well, change it. Gotcha. All right. Those are the only edits I had for December 2. Now, committee members, does anybody else have any other edits? Court, do you have any other edits? for
No,
December?
thank you.
Okay. Scott, what about you?
No edits.
Corey, what about you?
No edits.
Great, thanks. Okay, could I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 2 as amended, please?
So moved.
And a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? No, roll call vote. Carlin Reed votes yes. Vince Carlson, how do you vote?
Yes,
Court Booth, how do you vote?
Yes.
Scott Hopkinson, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Corey Atkins, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions about those edits, Vince?
no.
Okay.
Just a comment, by the way, on the way that this was generated.
Yes.
As everyone knows, I've been experimenting with a quote unquote semi-automated way to at least provide backup for the taking of the minutes. So I've been experimenting with a service called Otter AI, which will create a transcript automatically, by text to speech to text recognition. And that's worked satisfactorily. What Zoom includes with all of the recordings that they have is, in addition to being able to obviously get hold of the video, they also provide a file. It's only the audio file, and they provide something called a VTT, which is actually a transcript of the minutes. In the past, that's been more or less unintelligible just because the quality of the recognition was not very good. And Mark and I think, have discussed that in the past. What happened this time when I looked at the VTT is that it's been much improved. And in fact, I think they're contracting with an outside service. So it means that for every meeting, that's produced now, wherever people have held either a Zoom session or a hybrid session where, a Zoom recording is involved, is that they all have a reasonably acceptable transcript. I created the summary from that transcript, without even looking at the video. It's still not 100% accurate. It's probably about 95% accurate. And it would take a pass with an automated spelling checker to bring it up to the quality of a professional transcription. But it does mean that, it's relatively easy even now to create a transcript of, all of the meetings that are held via Zoom up to the quality of what a transcriptionist would produce. And I believe actually under open meeting law, that's all it's required actually to have as a recording of the meeting. And, I don't think it's appropriate to do it now, but I would like to do a little bit of additional testing. Maybe Mark, you and I can collaborate on getting a couple of other committees involved. Because if that's true, that really is kind of a step forward on, having a recording and a legal recording and something that's accessible to people on all of the committee meetings.
Thank you very much, Vince. Aaron, I know that you are the staffer assigned to several other town committees. We're obviously using our committee as a demo model on how to use this service. I would recommend that you consider, and I can talk to Carrie LaFleur about this if you wish, that you consider using this for some other committees, but of course that's up to you, your choice as well as the other committee. So you're seeing how well it's working for us. So it's just an idea, okay? Thank you, Vince, appreciate that very much. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Briefly going over the meeting schedule. And our next meeting is set for Thursday, February 3rd. At that meeting, as I understand, we're going to be getting a preview of the capital budget for Minuteman. On March 3rd, we'll be looking at the operating budget as prep for the March 17 enterprise hearing. April 7, we'll talk about getting a cable consultant request for quote. And on May 5, we're going to talk about the PEG Access Award process. And then June 2nd is a flex meeting for whatever else we decide that needs to come up. That's roughly what I have in mind. Go ahead, Scott.
Just a clarification, the cable consultant, what is that for? Is that for the renegotiation activity?
That's correct. That's
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Here's what happened. On December 14th, I met with Aaron and Kate Hodges to talk about the franchise renewal process, how it could go, what are some options. And at that time, I had expressed my personal desire to consider getting a cable consultant for the franchise renewal process. Part of the discussion that we had involved what's called a request for quote, not a request for proposal, but a request for quote, which is a process that will help us get a price essentially and a scope of work. And that was Kate Hodges's preference. I'm okay with that, but I realized from our schedule that we don't really need to work on that or look at that until April. So we can be thinking about it, but we don't need to be really doing anything until that time frame. So that's the general time frame. Look at the budget first for February, March, and then look at the RFQ, and then we'll look at the awards and then whatever else. So that's the schedule that I have for the rest of this year.
Thank you. I just wanted a clarification of what they were going to be working on. Thanks.
Well, there's more clarification coming.
Yeah.
Talk to me in April about it. Okay, fine. All right. Scheduling. Now, timing is Thursday, February 3rd. That's what I'm most concerned about. Is 1 o'clock still okay with you, Cord, and with you, Scott, as far as you know for your schedules?
Hold on, I can check. Just generally speaking, I would say daytimes are a little bit challenging for me, but let me
No,
look.
I want to do an evening meet at some point, but because we're doing budget stuff, I thought we might want to be doing it during the regular business hours. Cord,
Okay,
are
what day again?
Thursday, February 3.
Okay, give me a sec.
No problem. Court, what about you? 1 o'clock to 2:30? Can we still do that?
For
It'll be by
me,
Zoom.
yeah, I will be teaching in Boston, so I would move onto a phone at 2 o'clock, which I've done
Okay.
before with you all. It seems to work.
Yeah, we can move the budget update so that it's done well before you have to leave.
Okay.
I think we can. Aaron, as far as your schedule is concerned, are you still okay with doing it 1 o'clock? Because you're kind of important on that particular day.
So I might actually have to hand it off to Kate. I will be returning from a trip the day before, and I don't know how prepared I will be. I'll have been out for the past 2 weeks-ish.
Wow.
So I will check in with Kate and make sure that I have some sort of preliminary numbers that I've come up with, but I don't know. I want to make sure that she'll be all set.
Okay, get back to me if it looks like there's any issue at all. Otherwise, I'll assume that we're going to go ahead on the 3rd at 1 o'clock for our next meeting.
That works for me. I put it on my work calendar.
Thank you. And Scott, if something comes up, of course, just let me know about that. I appreciate that. Okay, that is scheduling stuff to be done. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item. And let's see, it's 1:22. All right. So Mark, if it's okay with you, I'd like to turn over to Minuteman Media for you and Aaron to do a update of what you have, how you're doing on staffing, how you're doing with volunteer work. And I wanted to compliment you both on the help that you gave me personally to work on the league video on voting, which apparently is now running about every 5 minutes on the feed, which I think is really cool. Thank
We
you.
like to make sure that you are, when you're a star, you're a star. So.
Oh, God. Well, just so the rest of the committee knows, what happened was I volunteered to help some league members and the town clerk's office create it turned out to be 4.5 minute video on the new precinct maps, where to vote, what the voting calendar is for 2022, and the redistricting. Now, 2 things. One, that video is now posted to the YouTube channel, so it's up there, it's running. Apparently, it's also running on the live feed for the TV channels on all 3 stations, channels 8, 9, and 99. Thank you for that.
Carlin Reed all day, any day.
The hilarious part is you don't see my name and you don't see my face. It's great. No, Nancy Confrey from the League of Women Voters, who's the voter service chair, is the main moderator. And she's interviewing Kari Maitari, the town clerk, and Wendy McNally, the chair of the Board of Registrars, to talk about where do you vote, the new precinct map, the new districting, how precinct 4 is now voting at the Hunt Gym instead of Ripley, that sort of thing. And it was done in connection with two things. One, the league is having a program this Friday about the new voting maps, voting districts. And they wanted to have a video done for that time. So timing was great. It's perfect. Plus, it's also going to be useful for the special town meeting coming up, as well as the special town election. So thank you again. You guys did a great job. Please pass my personal thanks to Tori Wisnowski, who was the videographer in charge of the project. That was well done.
Great.
Okay, Mark, I'm done talking. Your turn.
So now I'm putting it Erin.
Actually, on my screen, you're pointing to court, but if you
All right,
want
well, wherever Erin is, so.
to, go ahead, folks.
So my first thing is to congratulate Mark. He is officially our production manager, which is a new position.
Excellent.
So that takes the role of sort of being the station manager, but with a little bit more technical background. So we wanted to make sure that we were really tapping into all of Mark's specialties. So we made him the production manager, and that is now effective. We also have a new staff member joining us on Monday. He just was cleared, so this is great. His name is Matt Barron, and he's going to be another one of our lead producers. So he's going to be joining Tori to, he's going to be focusing more on, we've created a couple of positions that are both lead producers, but they have sort of different leans to them, if you will. So Tori's going to be leaning more towards the education piece of it and working with students, and Matt's going to be leaning more towards more of the working with seniors in the community, and they're both going to be doing a lot of the same things, but we wanted to make sure that they also had sort of their specialties or things that they got to work on a little bit extra based on their backgrounds. So we're really excited about that. We also have posted for videographers once again. We have a couple of interviews that we're going to be doing shortly, and then hopefully get a couple more people in because we keep hiring really great people and they keep getting snatched up by other people. So it's a good problem to have, and that we're hiring good people, but other people also recognize how fantastic they are and they move on quickly. So, so we're excited about that. We're also ready for,
Erin?
Yeah.
Is that because they're looking for full-time employment, or are there other reasons that make them move elsewhere? Any pattern?
Sure. Sometimes it is for full-time employment. Sometimes they're moving. Sometimes they, we've had some people that decide that they'd rather do more, less editing and video work and more sort of behind the scenes in the film and TV industry. So it's maybe they've chosen a different path, or if they wanted some experience so that they could get their foot in the door someplace else. These are all things that we see. We get different responses from different people.
So if this is repeating itself, we might want to look at the posting so that we manage the expectations up front a little differently.
I mean, this is a position that we don't expect to keep people for forever. It is, you know, in a lot of ways, MMN is a learning place, and videographers, while we'd love to have them for forever, it is a part-time as needed position. So it's not guaranteed hours. And that is because we don't, you know, for instance, during the pandemic, we didn't necessarily need videographers. So there's, you know, there's this sort of push and pull with what we need from the videographers at different times, depending on what's going on in town. So this position is designed for that. And so we, a lot of times we'll get students that are trying to get some more experience, or we'll get people that are looking to do it on the side or things like that. But after a while, you know, they move on,
Sure.
just like any other position.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Erin, is there a cap on the hours that the videographers can work?
Yes, they can only work up to 19 hours per week.
And that is why?
That's to circumvent paying benefits.
Okay.
Yes, that is what is part-time work, is up to 19 hours per week.
Which
So we
might also be a driver in decision-making on the part of these people, Vince.
Yes, yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So we also are preparing for a special town meeting, which is coming up on January 20th. Mark your calendars. We will be both. Mark, don't look so surprised. Mark has been working very hard to make sure that we are all set up in terms of both the connectedness between the different rooms, as well as making sure that we will be broadcasting it live. So, you know, hats off to Mark. He's been doing a fantastic job and keeping up with the ever evolving special town meeting requirements. So, but those are the main things that I wanted to cover. And also a big thanks to Carlin for volunteering and helping with us, doing some various work. And also say that if anybody wants to volunteer or knows anybody who wants to volunteer at a special town meeting, a few of our videographers have gotten snatched up recently by other big TV productions. And so we are looking for a few extra people. We can probably get by without them, but we're always looking for more people.
Aaron, now that we have a public information department that's pretty staffed up, has that changed how we use vendors for town meeting?
You mean, do we have vendors that we're still using?
Yeah, and do we still require the same scope of services?
So the vendors that we use generally come in with their own AV equipment.
No, I know that. I'm asking, do we, now that we have in-house capacity in the town of Concord, has that changed what we contract out?
Not really. I'd say that Mark and the team at MMN, as well as our IT team, has sort of stepped up and taken on some more to make sure that we're comfortable with what's going on and that the connectedness is what we need. And we definitely have that expertise to better formulate our plans ahead of time and make sure that what we're getting from our vendors is exactly what we need day of. What we're asking for hasn't really changed though.
Mhm. Thank you.
I don't know if I can add anything to that, Aaron.
Go ahead, yeah.
I don't know, just, you know, technically, Court, what they bring are the things that we only use once a year. And
No,
that would be,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So big screens and, you know, large array mics and stuff, but we do have more capability, but we really don't need the stuff that they bring in any other time of the year, so.
And because they go out on our feed, it's always us in charge anyway, no matter what we bring in.
I'm hoping it stays that way. It's a lot easier to control what they're doing because we're controlling the
Right.
video part of it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
yep.
Aaron, have you heard any Omicron feedback, you know, in terms of safety for the town meeting?
Yeah, it's not gonna.
That came out today, Vince. So if you don't mind, Aaron, you probably know this. Carmen sent out the details today, just like 90 minutes ago. And it's no surprises, would you say, Aaron? Three rooms.
Yeah, so-
Masks required.
Yes, masks are required. We will have 3 different rooms so that people can space out. We're going to be, you know, providing all the precautions that we can. We want to be sure that people feel safe, but we also have a special town meeting that we need to move forward with. So yeah, check the website for more details. It's on our news flash on the front page. You also got an email with it if you subscribe to news and notices.
Yeah, Vince, I'm looking at it right now. It is the details are on the left side of the homepage for the town, so it's up there as well.
Take a look.
Good.
Yeah, I have gotten feedback, not on the town meeting specifically, but just, you know, on the general issues of public meetings, you know, with Omicron.
Got it. Corey, go ahead, Corey.
I have a follow-up question because that is precisely the date that they're saying over the news that Omicron's going to spike. we're going to hit the peak. And I don't know if you've been following Massachusetts numbers, but they're horrible. I mean, and even the death numbers are horrible. So, I mean, normally I would feel confident because we have such a high vaccination rate in Concord, but I can imagine a lot of people not going to this meeting.
Yeah, I'm already picking up a little bit of fury around town that we'll get the young people and we'll disenfranchise older folks. I mean, this is not scientific, but it's already coming my way.
Yeah,
To
I
your
mean, I'm scheduled to go away that day and spent a ton of money to get refundable, changeable tickets because of the situation. So, I mean, nobody has any idea what they can do on the 20th.
Okay, I'm going to break here. Terry Ackerman, go ahead, Terry. You've got your hand up.
Thank you. We had a discussion about this yesterday with Carmen Reese, and we decided that we're going to go ahead with the meeting. They're taking a lot of precautions. Masks are required. We're going to probably hand out the KN95 masks, but the meeting will be socially distanced in 3 separate rooms. Also, people can watch at home, and they should go to the polls on February 3rd and vote. So this school has to pass both the town meeting and the ballot. So that's the decision now. We are going to be going ahead. And if you don't feel safe, you can watch from home, but you cannot vote from home. But you can go to the polls in February and vote.
One thing I'll add, Terry, is that we also have the air purifiers, the big air scrubbers that we have several of in town that we're going to be bringing in to help make sure that people feel comfortable and that we're taking all the precautions that we can.
Thank you.
I just sent a note to the 2 co-chairs of the middle school building committee, reminding them, we think we're going to have a meeting that's going to last 1 or 2 hours. If there's any surprise amendments or anything, it will take longer. So we're trying to get everything to Carmen Reese in advance so that we can have a short, socially distanced, safe meeting.
Got it. Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate that information. Aaron, new topic. I don't know if you know, Tim Goddard, who is the Carlisle's town administrator, is going to be retiring at the end of this spring. Now, that's important to this committee because he's the ex officio member from Carlisle. Mm-hmm. While he's not been here very often, I have been sending meeting materials to him. So they've been receiving it. I just want to let you know that when I hear that he's actually left, I'll be asking the Carlisle Board of Selectmen to appoint a replacement. And you may have already had a chance to talk with Tim about it or not, but just to give you that heads up. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the committee for MMN? If not, I would then turn open to any questions from the public who's here. Okay. Any questions from the public? Any hands? Yes, no, maybe, who knows? Okay.
Hello.
Frank, would you give your name and address, please?
My name, I'm Frank Breen in 48 Phillip Farm Road, Concord. Let's see. I tuned in channel the TV, the Comcast version of MMN this morning, and I saw Channel 8 had a Carlisle community forum, something from Moscow or something, and then on Channel 9 they had a Carlisle selectmen meeting. Again, what do we do for what they had the MM logo right on there, so I assume that MMN sent the people out there to run the cameras. So what do we do for Carlisle, and how do we get paid for that, or how does MMN get paid, or is there a mechanism, or they scan someone a check as they go out the door, or what? Whoops.
And that's commentary from Corey's dog. No. Go ahead. Mark, can you help him with the answer to the question? Thanks.
Yeah, so every time that we do travel, the agreement that's in writing between the town of Concord when they took over from CCTV is that they would get charged that same hourly rate, the $50.75 per hour. And I record everybody who leaves and comes back. We add the travel time to it. And then once a month, we send them a bill through Aaron. And that's the agreed upon method within the agreement between the two towns.
Yeah, so we invoice them once a month with if there's any meetings that have to do with Carlisle, if they put together there's a community forum at the library that they want us to come and film, then we'll come and film that. And that anything that has to do with Carlisle, it's billed on an hourly rate, as opposed to previously where it was I believe it was a 30% flat fee per year, and Carlisle didn't feel that they were getting enough out of that. There was much more Concord content than Carlisle content.
Well,
And so it was felt that the hourly rate was the better way to do that, to make sure that we were accurately, they were getting the best bang for their buck, so to speak.
well, that seems strange to me because the former town manager said one of the reasons for taking over the TV station was that the Carlisle people were getting much more service from the TV, from the CCTV than were the Concord people. So that was one of his reasons he gave. I specifically remember that. That Carlisle was getting too much of, they were getting more than their 30% or whatever.
Thanks, Frank.
That's what he said.
Go ahead, Court.
Yeah,
Yes.
good timing to talk about Carlisle. Do we know where the Carlisle contract negotiations stand now, number one? And number two, are we discussing with them capital needs? Because sometimes these negotiations result in capital monies as well as operating monies. I don't know if you want to discuss it today, Carlin, but at some point, we're going to need to revisit that.
Okay, let's take that just briefly. I sent along as part of the packet information about Carlisle's need assessment, the report that was done for them. So you have that in your packet of information. It's 43 pages long, talks about some things. Now, as far as coordinating regarding capital requirements, I personally am not. Aaron or Mark, if you want to talk about this. My understanding is Carlisle is still in the negotiation phase. Now they have the needs assessment done. Now they're still talking with Comcast. They have till, I think it's June, under the 6-month extension of time to get their contract signed. Aaron and Mark, do you have any other updates about the Carlisle franchise process?
So I can't speak to the Carlisle franchise process, but I can speak to when we have a capital need that we recognize in Carlisle, like for instance, if a cable breaks and we need to replace it, those are discussed with Tim Goddard, and we say, this is what we need, this is why. We'll sometimes write up a little memo depending on, the size of the purchase, if it's $20 versus $300 or, things like that. And then that will be added to the invoice, which Carlisle receives.
Got it.
So Aaron, if they did a build out of some kind in Carlisle, it wouldn't, if they threw capital on their side of the border to build out their capacity, can we assume it wouldn't change our ability to support it on our end out of the main studio and going out the head end to the head end? You follow my question? Not very articulate. Mark?
I think Mark understands what you're asking. I'm not sure if I do.
Yeah, I've had general conversations with their what are we calling it? The cable consultant woman.
Carolyn or whatever her
Yeah,
name is.
yeah.
And, right.
Yeah, and their requirements that she's pushing, because she doesn't fully understand the agreement that was put in place. She's coming from a California look at the whole world kind of view, and so she's pushing to try to get them to have their own facilities, their own equipment, their own head end, all that stuff. But technically, that has to be answered. So it's in the middle of that negotiation to say, hey, we think we'd like all these things. And then they come back and say, well, if you do, then you need your own station, you need your own head end, you'll have to have your own employees. and they may go, whoa, wait a minute. So I think there's that beginning of the negotiation for what changes that they think they might want, and then having to deal with the, taking, hiring people or negotiating with us to come over. You know what I mean? There'd be more stuff. So I think they're at the beginning of that discussion, but not confirming that that's what they're going to do, because they would have to split the head end. They'd have to have their own head end if in fact, or they'd have to come here and split it. They have to do something weird, which they'll have to sign up to do that. Comcast. And
So I'm hearing that Carlisle's learning they better be careful what they ask for.
yeah, I believe so. That if Carlisle's listening, I think they can have whatever they want, and we'll support it, or whichever way. I'm fine with it either way.
Great, very helpful. Thank you.
I do know that we have a person in the audience who is in Carlisle. That's Nancy Pierce. Nancy, did you want to say something about this? Because I know you've been following, and you're still muted. So
okay, I don't want to go into the whole history, but there is a history. The major issue, I think, for Carlisle is that we used to operate a station jointly, and about 2 or 3 years, Concord just took it. And since then, it's been really unclear what, if anything, Carlisle really wants to use PEG Access TV for. That one of the reasons that I come to these meetings is because at some point I'll have to write about it again. And just for the whole history, I would recommend that people go to www.carlislemosquito.org, search on Comcast and search on Pierce editorials, and you'll hear what I would otherwise take up but your meetings. But what I wanted to say is it's not a simple situation, because as far as people in Carlisle are concerned, if we ask for equipment at the studio in Concord, we don't control it. And I think that's the essential issue, is that the town of Concord decided to split off and really kind of take over all the autonomy and responsibility and equipment that the two towns had paid for. That's all I'm going to say.
that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fair.
thank you.
Good. That's great. Okay. Any other questions for a minute?
I'm still going. Is that all right? Or?
Go ahead, Frank.
All right, cool. I'd like to know what does MMN do with Zoom meetings? Is there a town employee that's actually running this meeting now, or it's not MMN, is it, or what? Like who switches between the various people that we see speaking?
So that's a Zoom function, so there's no human there, but the licensing for the Zoom account is managed by the town, and then the town requests, whichever town, whether it's Concord, Carlisle, or the joint school committee area, they manage their own licenses. But the switching of cameras and things is just an automatic based on voice switching. And then the towns each themselves, including the school system, they have their own paid accounts that they then schedule their own meetings. So.
All right, so then how do you get a hold of it? To put it on your web, does it immediately go on channel 9? Is this meeting on channel 9? Or is the selectmen meeting on channel 9? If they do a Zoom meeting, does that go right on channel 9 live?
So it depends. We can schedule meetings to go out live. So for instance, select board generally is scheduled to go out live. Other meetings like this one are usually sent by the Zoom administrator to MMN for us to go and chop off the beginning and the end, when people are chit-chattering before the meeting actually begins, so that we're just getting the recording of the meeting and not people's vacation plans or, they bought a new car or whatever it is. And so those are then uploaded to YouTube.
So you do have an employee that kind of handles all these meetings as they're generated, right? This town has an employee separate from MMN.
Frank, I'm gonna have Aaron or Mark answer that question, then we're gonna move on because we've got some other things for our agenda. And if you have more questions, feel free to contact them offline. But if Aaron or Mark, if you could answer that last question, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, so each one of those entities that I described, the Carlisle and Concord and the school committee, they all have an admin, and quite a few, in fact, in Concord, and they will forward the meeting to me at the station. So, and
So you get like a file and you just upload it to YouTube.
Frank, that's about enough.
Oh,
Give him a call. You have
I'm
his
sorry,
number.
but I ask a question and then the board starts, the committee talks about other things that I wasn't even having anything to do with, but that's fine.
I appreciate the comment, Will, as well.
All right, great.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is going to be looking at the PEG access report. And this is something that we've gone through a couple of different drafts. The most recent draft that I've sent to you in the packet, it's dated December 22nd. In court, I was trying to capture something that you had mentioned, and I did it in a very, very brief fashion. The portion that you had wanted me to add from the previous version, it shows up in the very first paragraph. It was a description of what MMN is. And what I had done is I'd added, just very briefly, MMN is the town-run local public access cable TV studio and service which brings public education government PEG local programming to Concord and Carlisle. See the related annual town report for MMN for more details. Now, that's the incorporation by reference that I think will at least highlight someone, oh, look, let's look for another report. Because Aaron, if I'm correct, that you're going to be doing one for this, for the public information department and MMN, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I didn't see a need to go any further than that. Is there any other language, Court, that you want us to add to this report?
I like it. I would only change the word studio to the word service to be a little more all-encompassing, because it is more than studio.
Okay, so I have down here right now, MMN is the town-run local public access cable TV studio and service, which brings public education and government. Do you want me to strike out studio?
No, but as long as service is in there, so.
Service is in there.
Bigger than a facility, yeah.
Yeah, because it really is the services that we're seeing a lot now, more so than just the studio. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, do I have any other edits or corrections to this annual report? Because I'd like to take a vote on this now if we can. Okay, can I get a motion?
Just time for Mark and Aaron to weigh in. Is that a good one-liner on MMN that Carlin just read?
I think so. My only comment is the nomenclature of MMN-TV is not, that doesn't exist. So it's just MMN.
MMN, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I don't think I have MMN-TV in the report, do I?
Oh,
I see it as a cable TV studio.
yeah, I see it. I don't know. I see it in there a few places, but towards the end.
I'll do a search for that, and I'll just change it from MMN-TV to just MMN. Okay.
Right. Yeah. That's all. I think.
We'll do. All right.
I was gonna say, I'll go through it too when I'm editing it all, and if I catch anything like that, I usually correct it.
You don't like to hear what I talk about?
Frank, you're still on. You're not on mute. Would you please put yourself on mute?
Sorry.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Aaron. Yes, I know all the reports from all the committees are supposed to be coming to you by January 14th or something like that. So we're going to get ours in. Okay, could I get a motion to approve this report as amended? And the amendment is, I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to do nothing except look for MMN-TV and change it to MMN. Motion to approve to amend, please.
So moved.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Good, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote on the report. Carlin Reed says aye. Court Booth, what do you say?
Aye.
Scott Hopkinson, what do you say?
Aye.
And Vince Carlson, what's your vote?
Aye.
Corey Atkins, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, I will make that revision, look for that, and then I'll send it in along with the photograph that we took last time. And I've shown it to you, as well as the photograph report. I'll send it all to Aaron, which is what we're supposed to do to submit it for the year. And Aaron, will that make us the first committee that's done it?
Unfortunately, you won't be the first. But
Oh, versus a
I
foil.
was surprised how many I've already gotten. People must have been prepared this year. They had some extra time on their hands.
Well, that's good. That makes it easier on your job. Okay. All right, that's taken care of. Thank you very much. Court, I want to make sure that you were here for that vote. We got that done. This is a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay. Next item, a couple things just on the Comcast franchise renewal process. I had mentioned earlier about the meeting that I had with Kate and Aaron about the request for quote. More about the process will be forthcoming when we have our April meeting. I think that's when we're going to really talk about what the process is and how we're going to do it and see what the status is at that point. I had also sent along with that with you the December 2021 cable TV rate increase price sheet. Now this shows the increases in the cable TV prices and internet prices that Xfinity, i.e. Comcast, has already put into effect because it's effective December 20th, 2021. So it covers the TV, it covers installation charges. This price sheet also shows the internet prices as well, and the effective dates for all these. This came in my bill. I've actually scratched out my account number, but this is the kind of insert that goes to the customer showing, hey, your rates are going to go up. Your limited basic is going to go from $13 to $14. But it also gives the other prices for the non-regulated fees as well. So that's why I sent you all the copy of this price sheet. Any questions about the price sheet? Okay, all right, that was the one update.
Looks like there's only one thing that went down.
And that was?
Expanded basic went from 53.25, went down to 52.25. Woohoo!
Well, someone can save $1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, good for them. Yeah, right. Well, so we heard from Comcast last meetings in Greg Frank's view that the subscribership numbers are roughly stable, whatever that is, at 4,993, but the prices are going up. So they're trying to keep their revenues up. That's how that balance goes, as we've talked about. All right, and the other thing I have, we've talked about the Carlisle needs assessment report, Carlisle status. That's about all that I have for the Comcast franchise renewal update right now. Any questions or from the committee members about that or any other points that we should talk about regarding the franchise renewal process? No? Okay, we're on target. We're doing well time-wise, so our timeline still looks good on that. Okay, it is time check, 1:56 p.m. I'm going to turn it over now to Scott and Vince to talk about two things. Scott, if you can, if there's something that you'd like to share with us about the fiber broadband committee or broadband update. And then after you're done, Vince, if you have anything to talk about regarding Comcast Internet Essentials program, because you had mentioned expressed the interest in talking about that for a bit. So Scott, are you available to give an update or whatever you want?
Sure. Yeah, I can give you a quick one, and there's also, I would refer folks to the most recent, well, not the most recent, the December Concord Light Plant. One of our members is also a member of the Light Plant Board, and he gave a early in the meeting he gave an overview of some of the solutions we've been thinking about. So I'll give you my perspective of our work. We're starting to draft a report because of the charter and the Article 41, we were in a pretty time-constrained situation where we have to complete our work by roughly end of February. We've outlined the report in the following way. One is to just for clarification and everyone's understanding, the article and the committee is a fiber completion task force. It's not a standing committee. It's not designed to be, at least at this moment, to go on indefinitely. And so what we've done from a general outline is first describe where the problems are. In other words, where are there places that we can't reach with the town fiber? And there are examples, easy ones that people can understand quickly are like Concord Green, because there's a homeowners association, or Kai's Road. There are other locations around the edges of town, or there are streets where the utilities were put underground. However, there was no provision made for pulling the fiber through underground, so those streets aren't reachable. And so that's sort of the problem statement. The second part of the report is going to talk about what it would cost to get service to those locations. And each one of them will be different. We've sort of classified the different types of locations so that we can sort of group them together and say this class of problem has this kind of cost associated with it. And the third part will be some recommendations about how the operations could be adjusted, meaning increase the subscribership for those folks that already have fiber in front of their house to increase revenue, or alternatives such as additional loan authorizations or other ways that we might find funding, including funding from outside. So there are a number of initiatives in the at the federal level to raise money for broadband access. And then finally, there'll be some general observations and recommendations out in the report. And that's what we're working on. The team, the sections of the report have been divided up and we're working on those sections now. I personally am working on the one that's related to the finance and business modeling, because that happens to be what I did at the beginning of this back in 2012 and 13. And that's a quick summary.
Sounds good. Okay, questions for Scott? All right,
No, that
Vince?
was very helpful.
You're doing a good job, Scott. I appreciate your work on the committee. Okay, Vince, did you want to talk about Comcast Internet Essentials or some issues that you've been thinking about with that?
Yes, and in fact, there's something that Scott had mentioned at the last meeting that kind of segues into this. And Scott, I think you had mentioned that you were doing a mini business plan for Concord Green. And I don't know if that's something that's still pending, but there's, I wouldn't call it an addition, but I'm trying to go through a similar effort for the Housing Authority.
Okay, yeah. So let me make two comments. First of all, what I forgot to mention is the Fiber Completion Committee is meeting on the cadence of once per week, so we're working on it pretty intensely. I do have a model. I've actually been working with the light plant financial people to make sure that model is accurate in this regard. And I can comment specifically about Concord Green, and if we could extend that to another one like the Housing Authority, I'd be happy to take that offline, Vince. What we found in the case of Concord Green was, as I mentioned, one of the paradoxes we found in a lot of these cases is that there's a third party that sits between the light plant broadband and the individual subscriber. Usually that third party is either a landlord or a homeowners association. So in the case of Concord Green, I'll use that as an example. There is a homeowners association that has to act uniformly, representing all the majority interest of the 260 units that are in Concord Green. Similarly, they're in what used to be called Concord Muse. I think they've changed their name, but basically it's a large apartment complex. There's a landlord there that has sway over that. And so we do think that there's an opportunity to bundle up solutions for target customers that would potentially overcome the cost of bringing the services into those environments. I will tell you that Concord Green just this last week completed an internal survey as to see how many of their individuals be willing to help pay for the cost if Concord Green took it on. And their estimate, by the way, was $100,000 for connecting the fiber just from the edge of their property to each of their units. And they have a certain amount of infrastructure that exists already. And unfortunately, the members of the homeowners association did not agree to extend that expense, which would have turned into about $456 per unit holder. And they just didn't want to spend the money. So I'm happy to look at that offline, Carl, Vincent, if you'd like me to look at that for the Housing Authority. I think each case we've discovered is slightly different. How do we get the fiber cable into the building is usually the special case. We think we found some low-cost ways to doing that, and we can take that offline.
Vince, I would encourage you to contact Scott and talk to him about that regarding the Housing Authority and the housing areas.
Okay, Scott, there's what I'll send you is there's some information that will affect your business plan. And that is one of the federal programs that is actually paying residents to subscribe to the service if they meet certain income qualifications. And I'm not sure how many of these income qualifications will apply to Concord Green. In the case of the Housing Authority, it's $30 per month in perpetuity. And
Yeah, that is of interest. I will tell you that one of the things that we've determined, by the way, so one way to look at this is to look at how Comcast reacts and responds in town. And so they have two things that are essentially very different than our broadband service. One is they have a commitment to deliver services to anybody in town. So no matter where you are in town, and we believe that's tied to the franchise agreement. I haven't put my eyes on it, but we believe that's part of it. The second part, which you are also aware of, because I saw there was a flyer about this, is that they offer a service called Internet Essentials for people that are low income. That's $9.95 a month. There's no way we can come close to that and pay for it or make it make sense financially. And so, by the way, I happen to know that offers 60 megabits of bandwidth down, which is what most people need. So it will be, that service is a really excellent service if you're qualified for it. And it's from a business viewpoint, if whether Concord Broadband wanted to offer something similar, it's not clear. If they can, it's obviously going to have to come at be subsidized by other of their customers or other sources of income. So.
Indeed, actually, that Internet Essentials is unique to Comcast. However, with the new government programs, there is a similar, ongoing subsidy that can be applied to that from the government. And again, it's
I'd like to learn more about that.
Um,
So just bear in mind what it costs to connect a house on the average is around $1,000 to $1,500. These houses that are out of reach or difficult to reach, that number goes up quite a bit. For example, as I mentioned, Concord Green, that connectivity was going to be what our costs are from the broadband perspective, plus another 400 and whatever the number I mentioned, 400 and some odd dollars for the homeowners association in order to be able to connect those individuals, and they'd have to get 100% participation to do that. So these are the things that we have to overcome, and generally speaking, they're paid back through a subscription that persists over a long period of time, which is, for example, why when you sign up for Concord Broadband, you make a 2-year commitment to keep it in place. So
that sounds like that committee is doing quite a bit, Scott. Vince, was there something else you wanted to touch on regarding the Comcast Internet Essentials? Or do you have an update? What's your pleasure?
There's a big picture. I mean, I'll discuss with Scott offline about these specific programs that might apply to the Housing Authority. There's a bigger picture relative to what Concord Light Broadband currently does compared to Comcast, and with its increased subscriber count, I believe it's now at the point where it's officially above the FCC threshold, where it's considered kind of a competitive entity to Comcast, and at that level, it means that in theory it's going to be subject to some kind of potential there for there not being just one contract in town, which is with Comcast, but with two, which would include Concord Light Broadband. And when that exactly comes up formally is not.
Vince, I think this is very important. I guess I'd like to suggest that this is really an opportunity. This should be discussed at the Fiber Completion Committee and or the light plant board meeting. I'm happy to hear about it here, but I think those are the venues that we should be discussing this.
I agree in general, but again, getting back to it, it's I guess we're currently at the PEG Access Advisory Committee discussing a contract with Comcast.
Oh, I guess it's relevant here.
That may expand in the future.
True. Let me pull up a number real quick for you. I think we talked, and I took this number over to the other committee. when we had our Comcast rep here, he had told us what their current subscription rate was, which I think it was,
$49.93.
yeah, just under 5,000, just a hair under 5,000. And one of the things that I think would be interesting for this committee to hear, just extracted from the information we've got on the other side, is right now the total number of installs is just under 2,000 that we've connected. So not even 40% of what Comcast has touched. And the other thing that's of some interest is the rate at which we've been doing the installs got slowed way down because of COVID. So in its peak, we did 325 connections in a year, but that was back in 2016. And the most in 2020 did 187, and 2021 195. So this is all part of this big formula. You know, again, what we're doing in the completion committee is looking first at what it would be the cost of connecting 100% of Concord. And the second part is, how do we fund that? And one of the options to fund it is either the growth wheel, which is to get more revenue by getting more subscribers, or finding other sources such as federal grant programs or loans.
You can see it's quite complicated. That sounds good.
Yeah, I do appreciate your heads up on the FCC threshold piece, Vince. That's something I'd like to follow up with you on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 30%.
All right. Well, let's do chat about that. And then if there's something that we need to do with it at the committee, be sure to bring it back for next week or next month or whatever it's appropriate.
Well, yeah, it would be interesting if, just one more thing on that subject, if all of a sudden the broadband was supposed to bear some percentage of the cost of the franchise fee, that'd be a very interesting thing.
I'll send you the links.
Thank you.
I have a new topic. It's on the broadband component. Just very briefly, something I learned when watching the Economic Vitality Committee that met, I think it was yesterday, day before. I learned that there's that Verizon, as you know, has been having some coverage issues in downtown Concord. Verizon had a balloon test where they stick a balloon in the air to see how tall a tower would be visible at Kai's Road on December 10. And it was visible from the Buttrick's mansion. And that is significant because that's within the historic district area. And the Historic District Commission had expressed some concerns about having a cell tower built at Kai's Road for that reason. The cell tower would be to try to help Verizon increase its coverage. As I understand from what Marsha Rasmussen was saying during this Economic Vitality Committee meeting, the tower proposals that's being considered are between 80 and 120 feet, which would allow 120 feet would allow some co-location with other providers and to earn some revenue for the town. But it sounds like the town is in some discussions with Verizon on trying to solve some of the Verizon Wireless, at least, cell phone coverage issues. I wanted to pass it along to this committee just so you know, no action item involved, but just information going on. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussions that you have or questions about broadband? Because otherwise we'll move on to the next agenda item. No? Okay. And that happens to be liaison comments. Okay, we have a couple liaisons here. We have Carol Cushing from the Council on Aging, and if she wishes to give us some insights and updates, I'd love to hear them. Carol, are you so inclined?
Unmute myself. Well, we didn't have a meeting in December, so nothing new to report with that. But many of the activities that the council provides are now in person. But you have to pre-register, you have to prove that you've been vaccinated, and you have to wear a mask. However, with the Omicron variety coming hot and strong, I don't know how much longer a lot of things are going to be still held in person. But so far, that's what's been happening. So nothing else to report.
Okay, any progress on getting videotaping done for the Council on Aging? Is there anything?
I asked and there was nothing that they particularly wanted. have done. They have a lot of issues with the people who present things. They have to ask permission from them. So it's not, you know, it's not just up to the council. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Terry, I see that you're here also with the select board. If you have any insights that you wish to share, I'd love to hear them. If there's
Just
anything.
very briefly, I want to let this committee know about Mark Pauley's contribution. I'm so thrilled about his promotion. Congratulations. I just want to let you know what happened in the town hall hearing room, which is a room that we have not been able to use for many, many years. And Mark and his team went in for 4 hours, I think. Borrowed some speakers, and we can use the room again. We can hear. It's like a miracle in there, and I'm just so thrilled. I really want this committee to know. Thank you so much, Mark.
Good job. Good job. Thank you very much, Terry. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it also.
Okay, Court, you're the school representative. Do you have any school issue, anything you want to discuss, report, or anything along those lines? Go ahead. Court.
No, unless you're a parent, then I'll tell you that we'll probably close school tomorrow. Other than that, nothing new.
It's already been posted. Yeah. Well, it's a snow day in Boston. Sorry.
Okay.
So will it be a snow day in Concord as well?
Yeah, between snow and COVID, we're thinking it's probably the prudent thing to do, but it hasn't, I guess it hasn't come out officially yet. But anyway, no, nothing on our end. Thank you.
Okay, all right. At this point, I'd like to open up to other public comment. If there are any other members of the public who want to give a comment about anything relating to the public act, relating to our committee. Nancy Pierce is shaking her head. No, okay, fine, good, Andy. Lois, I know that you're on the call. Do you have anything that you want to share? Lois Suarez is waving your hand
Hi,
saying no.
Lois.
Okay.
No, nothing. Thank you. Nothing.
That's
Thank
good
you.
to see you all. I'm glad that you come and attend these meetings. Okay, folks, this is it. Unless there's something else, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Actually, I do have one question. If we have we're over. Never mind. We'll do it later.
No, well, we technically still have a few more minutes, Scott, if you want to talk.
Okay. Well, I went looking for some pre-recorded meetings, and can perhaps the Minuteman Mark tell me a little bit about how they decide which meetings end up on YouTube? For example, I was looking for light board meetings, and I found a quite sporadic history. Is it dependent on the light board or whoever giving you the video, or what's the story?
Yeah, it's a manual process. We don't have any access as members of Minuteman to the town, any of the town databases that they're storing them up in Zoomland. So as soon as the meeting is done and they want it published, they'll send it to us. But sometimes they're done, and since the town house has had less and less employees over the last couple of weeks, but it's up to them to send it to us, the correct link, and then so there could be months. I mean, we don't have a record of which happened and whether we got the meeting or not. We're not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, in my example, as hard as I searched, I only found like one in December, and then the next one going back in time was all the way back in April. So that, and I was just kind of curious how that mechanism works. It sounds like it never got forwarded to you, is my guess.
Chances are that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I've seen this with other videos where people have asked me, Carlin, where can I find this particular video? And I say, okay, what's the date? What's the name of the committee? What it is? I'll send it to Mark, and he and his team will try and find it. And they usually can find it and then get it posted, or at least send the link to it. So if you have a list of the meetings you want to watch, either send them to me or send them to Mark Pauley directly, one of the two.
I'll probably just follow up with you two on one. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
One thing
Mark, does
Hold
it
on.
take you much time to process the videos once you get them?
Yes, it could take 1 to 4 hours.
Aaron, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that if, depending on how old the meetings are, they don't stay on Zoom forever. So if it's something that's from a year or two ago, we can't guarantee that it's still being stored on Zoom and we may not be able to get the recording.
Sure, yeah,
Just keep that in mind.
in this particular case, it was one that was in the last month, so.
You're
Thanks.
probably good on that then.
Yeah,
I think there's an option there for adding more storage on Zoom. But
well, it's just,
probably
Vince, it's
expensive.
just a matter of someone who gets the link as soon as the meeting closes and downloading it. You get an MP4, they can download it and put it on our servers, and that would be the right way to do it.
Okay, anything else? Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Great. Any other discussion? Lois, did you have any other questions? You look like you wanted to say
No.
something. Nope. Okay, fine. You're just tuning in. Good. Okay. Mark is either saying, Mark's already gone. All right, let's do roll call to adjourn. Carlin Reed says yes. Court Booth,
Yes.
Vince Carlson,
Yes.
Scott Hopkinson,
Aye.
and I think Corey has already left because I don't see her on my screen. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much. Please remember to leave.